said hip hop, here's the hip to the hip hop. You don't stop the rock to the bang bang music. Up to the Rudy, the bang bang, Rudy.
What is good, y'all? It's Casey, the Chosen One. We are back, and I want to kick this one off a little different for y'all today, man. I want to tell y'all a story about a man named Mac Miller, a man that was timeless beyond his years and revolutionary in hip hop. You see, he started off perfecting his craft on instruments like the drums, piano, guitar, and bass, all by the age of 6. By his own admission, he was gifted a keyboard and hooked that thing up and never stopped playing it. Very impressive for a musical prodigy so young, don't you think? Well, if that's not impressive enough for you, then hear this. Mac Miller dropped his debut mixtape at 15 years old under the moniker Easy Mac.
Have you ever felt like no one understands what you love? The man in a hug can't reach you when you standing above. I got dreams which I need to accomplish. I promise I'm honest, clean my conscience, see the nonsense. Good days are gone.
I listened to some of his project and it sounds exactly how you would expect an artist his age to sound, relying on pure lyricism for recognition. Not bad by any means to anyone who respects the art of rhyming. This project was actually indicative of what was to come. He would follow that up by rebranding his stage name into Mac Miller and then releasing 2 more mixtapes named The Jukebox and High Life. In July 2010, at just 18 years old, those projects set him up to be signed by his hometown label Rostrum Records, also managing Wiz Khalifa at the time, who was a rising star. Everything was coming together just right for Mac Miller, and with all the forward momentum came his breakout mixtape, Kids. I think this project deserves to be highlighted for a moment, so let's just pause right here.
Hey, Kool-Aid and frozen pizza. It's a work of art, I ain't talking Mona Lisa. Dream of rocking crowds, see me filling up arenas. This weed got me laughing like a damn hyena. Yeah, I live a life pretty similar to yours. Used to go to school, hang with friends and play sports. Every single summer taking trips to the shore. And that was all gravy, but I knew I wanted more, ain't ever seen it.
On this project, he perfectly encapsulates the teenage experience of being young and ready to face the world with absolutely no fear. This was my introduction to Mac Miller, having just moved to a new state where I knew nobody around me, and this album became a good friend of mine. Rostrum Records president Benji Grinberg claims he heard a maturation in his sound during the creative process, which is very apparent when you compare it to his last project. He stopped trying to prove himself and instead recorded a passionate, mature project with long-term value. Great beats, great content. Kids helped him steer away from being labeled as a college rapper and moved him into the category of a legitimate artist with a real future. Moving on, the release of Kids along with his heavy traction on social media at the time helped propel Mac Miller to stardom. He earned himself a spot on the 2011 XXL freshman list, finally reached 1 million followers on Twitter, which prompted him to drop a mixtape to thank the fans called I Love Life, Thank You. Not going to highlight this project much, but trust me, it is underrated and I would label it an 8 out of 10. Listening to this project as a hip-hop connoisseur, I feel like Mac Miller proved that he perfected his craft for feel-good music with this one. So check it out, y'all. Less than a month later came his debut album, Blue Slide Park. The more research I did on how critics received this project, they don't seem very fond of it, and respectfully, I'm not a fan of it either. But the good news is that this must have lit some type of competitive fire inside of Mac Miller, because from here on out, he basically becomes this unstoppable creative genius for the rest of his career. Macadelic, his 7th mixtape, was released in March 2012, and I want to note that he began to experiment heavily with his sound at this time. It is an interesting listen and has its fair share of feel-good tracks, along with those that trigger deep self-reflection. Not my favorite Mac Miller project, but it certainly has some heat, and it marked a new trajectory for his artistry, catering to his own style of psychedelic rap. Now, this is around the time his career really started to pick up. His reality TV series Mac Miller and the Most Dope Family aired on MTV2, airing from February 2013 to September 2014.
From the Holocaust.
Un momento.
We have a show in Paris, France, 48 hours there.
This show gives an inside perspective into his transition to living in Los Angeles, as well as the creative process for his second album, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. This album sounds like another deep dive into the abyss of the unknown. Very melancholy vibe to most of these beats. To sum it up in one sentence, it'll either be a straight up hit or miss for most people, but I'm leaning towards it more of being a hit, but certainly not an everyday listen. So once he settled in LA, he built his home studio and named it The Sanctuary, and this was another clear milestone. Rappers like Schoolboy Q, Tyler the Creator, Vince Staples, and many other Cali natives were frequent, and they all made beautiful music together, might I say. The Sanctuary is where Mac Miller created my favorite mixtape of his called Faces. And let me say, I think that this was the beginning of his musical promise.
Yeah, I spit that prayer hand emoji, the shit that in Jacoby. The holiest, the holy, Nick Nolte and some Oakleys, that's a flex though. Cover up the issues that I kept close, so where I can deal, I'm in the corner with my head low, running from.
Most of my serious recommendations come from here on out. Mac Miller actually claimed that he was not on Earth while making the project Faces, alluding to being heavily under the influence. He's been very open about his drug use in interviews, but I think that he started to reach that level of greatness when you start to become a slave to your success, and that's the concept that Faces explores. To me, this project sounds more colorful and vibrant, if that makes sense. There are a lot of high-pitched jazzy sounds to support declarations through his lyrics to feel whole inside, despite seemingly having it all on the outside. I don't do drugs, but these songs will definitely make you feel like you're on one. Very trippy and unbounded by any music category you're trying to box him in. Now fast forward to September 2015, Mac Miller would drop his next studio album called Good AM, and then would follow that up with The Divine Feminine almost exactly a year later. Both exceptional projects if you ask me. Good AM is his climb back down to reality, a ballad to keep living his life and look past any previous shortcomings. The Divine Feminine is Mac Miller's take on the journey of love, and this is a wonderful album, designed to have you in your feels. Both these albums, especially The Divine Feminine, are lovely on the ears, both for an energetic listen or to decompress. Fits right at that midpoint for balance. Now unfortunately we would lose Mac Miller in 2018 due to a drug overdose, but not before he would leave us with 3 last albums. You have Circles, you have Swimming, and you have Balloonerism. All 3 of these projects are almost a completely different sound when comparing it to his previous bodies of work. I'm not going to get into these because I don't think the youth will actually like these. I gave these an honest listen when they came out and I wasn't very impressed. I mean, there are a few songs that I like, but none that stuck. Are they worth giving a listen? Only if you're a real Mac Miller fan, to be honest. I think these are a little too introspective to enjoy casually. And that is my review of Mac Miller. Shout out to you if you made it to the end of the video, because now I'm going to tell you my final thoughts on Mac Miller and why you should respect his footing in hip hop. You see, he started off learning the art of music at 6 years old and made a name for himself in the game before even graduating high school. He has a long catalog of music, each which tell you a different story. He even began producing his own instrumental albums under the pseudonym Larry Fisherman, which speaks to his complete dedication. I myself am a Mac Miller fan, and I even got this shirt a while back to show y'all it's real. Hold on, man. Check out my shirt, y'all. Let me know if y'all like my shirt. Anyway, his undeniable work ethic could teach us all something. And to the youth, always believe in yourself and your dreams. You got this. I will see y'all next time. Peace and love.